Hello everyone, and welcome to day 3 of a very different Beltec. When I sat down to think about what I was going to say today, I thought back to the first time I hosted an AI session here at Beltec, and was actually quite surprised to realise that it was in 2017. So astonishingly, this is my 4th year of presenting an AI session here at Beltec, and actually my 2nd year as an employee of Kainos. Over the years, things have changed a lot. We've moved from speculative discussion and thoughts on the future to real-world application and the challenges that lie therein. AI has become such a strong area of focus and development that last year we actually started a dedicated conference for AI called AICon. And this just goes to show how much the field has grown. We've moved from a few hours in the afternoon of 2017 to a full day-long conference over 2 stages in 2019 that went extremely well. And here we are now in 2020. And let's be honest, the whole world looks a little bit different. Because we have the dedicated AI conference that we will be running again this year in November as another virtual conference, at first I wondered whether we should bother to have an AI session here at Beltec. When we were planning this, I knew that the other organisers did plan on having AI content within their streams. Of course, this should be no surprise. I have been saying for years that ultimately, at some point in the future, all software is going to have some component of AI within it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I actually said that back in 2017 when I was on stage here. If this is the case, if we are going to see AI being all pervasive, I did ask myself the question of, well, what should be the focus of what we talk about here in Beltec that's specifically around AI? I do still firmly believe that AI will become a core component of all software in the future, and honestly, not the distant future. It's not that novel anymore. It's not that unusual. I have an expenses app on my phone that uses machine vision to analyze and scan receipts to extract the values, and it works extremely well. Your Office productivity suite of choice undoubtedly has AI built into it at this point. I have an interface to AI right here on my wrist, and if I happen to utter any of the magic wake words, and believe me, I am super tempted to do this, if I do that, all of you sitting at home will absolutely curse me as your laptops, your phones, your watches all spring to life and ask you a variety of ways of saying, "How can I help you today?" So I gave some thought as to what we really needed to talk about here in a dedicated AI session. What have we not figured out? What do we still need to discuss? And to be honest, the answer feels pretty obvious. Ethics, explainability, and productionization. I'm pretty much 100% confident that we have not completely nailed these things yet. And I do think that it's still very relevant and very interesting as we look to the future of AI. We originally planned this event in April. And we planned this session, I wanted it to be much more discussion-based. I wanted to have less talks and more discussion, more interaction, and more of an audience participation. I thought that would be a good balance and it would be good to stimulate some discussion. But that was in April, and obviously the world has changed and that didn't happen. Things have changed very dramatically. But for many of us, we've adjusted, and this has become the new normal, another one of those greatly overused phrases, just like unprecedented. What's fascinating about our whole current situation is the way that it's making many, if not all of us, rethink many things. How we work, what the workplace is and why it is relevant. Why on earth we all spent so much time in airports and on planes. And of course, what conferences are. If someone had suggested to me last year that we should do Beltec as an online event, I would have been highly skeptical, to say the least. But here we are, several months later, and what feels like a lifetime later. And it all seems to be going very well. I'm very glad that this session is on the 3rd day. I looked last night at the views on the first day, on Monday, and was extremely happy to see that we had around 1,800 views so far on YouTube. And that's phenomenal. We would never get that kind of numbers at a tech event here in Belfast. And that's the key, really. This is a tech event. And our dependence upon and our need for technology has been really highlighted over this last few months. Of course, this means that all of these core themes that we see in the conference are as critical today, if not more critical, than they ever have been. Those of us that are lucky enough to work in an industry in which remote working is possible have found ourselves utterly dependent on Zoom, Teams, Hangouts, WebEx, and a variety of other platforms. On one day during the last few months, I found myself on video calls on 6 different platforms in 24 hours. It's exhausting, but it works. So what about AI in the current context? Well, about a month or 2 ago, I wrote an article about how AI had been used to actually detect this coronavirus before it was actually announced by the WHO. A Canadian company called Blue Dot had been scanning social media and media articles and had actually predicted a pandemic, I believe, 9 days before the WHO announced it as such. I also wrote in that article about the potential of AI to work against coronavirus and help protect and save lives in the way that we can actually use natural language processing to look at the vast corpus of data. We can use genetic algorithms to look at how the structure of the virus works and the various different ways that therapies and vaccines can be developed. As we emerge from the current crisis, I do not think we will see any reduction in the development of AI. If anything, I think it will accelerate further and faster. More companies are looking towards automation than ever, and recent events have highlighted how clearly radical changes can happen very quickly. When there is a need, radical change can happen very easily. Of course, this means that today's themes in this session are all the more relevant. When we do things at pace, the more easy it is to cut corners, to rush development along, and to make mistakes. And in this field, I don't think we can afford to make mistakes. We need to ensure that the development of AI is done safely and it is done right. In terms of the logistics of today, I said a moment ago that I wanted these sessions to be more interactive, with more discussion and perhaps some good debate. I said that, and now I find myself sitting here in an empty studio, staring at a camera, desperately hoping that there's an audience at the other side actually listening to me. One can only hope that you are there. And one thing that I should highlight, that we do have a live chat. And I would like people to get involved and comment on the live chat. Hello, Giuliano, who's been the first to comment today. And I can actually see that chat, and it's really nice because it means you can talk to each other, you can say hello to one another, and you won't have to worry about me staring at you and wondering why you're talking in the audience. So please do keep that live chat happening and get some discussion happening. When we first looked at this, I did think to myself, look, will this work? I mean, the audience participation is one thing, but how do we do panel sessions when we don't have people in the room? Well, we will have some, but some will be remote. And honestly, I kind of had to think about that. I think, well, realistically, this is how we've been working. Many of us have spent the last couple of months in our kitchens, our living rooms, our studies, our bedrooms, working normally and interacting with people on screens. So really, today is no different. Honestly, though, the thing that convinced me was when I spoke to the panelists and asked them, what did they think? Would they like to do this online, or would they rather just give a talk? And they all assured me that they thought the panels would work extremely well online, and that was in no way because they didn't want to have to prepare a talk. I'm not sure of that, but anyway, I think it's going to work out pretty well. Anyway, before I introduce our keynote speaker, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, without whom this truly could not have happened. This is a free event, and it's free because our sponsors have actually put money towards this. So I want to thank Kainos, Belfast City Council, Options, Allstate, Invest in I, Uno Square, Explio, WorkPlus, and Hayes Recruitment, all of whom can be seen here. And also, we have a charity founder as well, a charity associated called the Robin Hood Project. And for all of you who have had a chance to do this for free, we would really appreciate if you would give a few quid to the Robin Hood Project, as I think it's a very good charity. In addition to joining in the live chat, which some of you have done, Phil, Nathan, Detactics, hi folks, please do use your favourite social media channel of choice and use the hashtag Beltec20. And again, that just helps us validate the fact that people are actually out there and that I'm not just sitting in an empty room talking to myself. So the setup of today is that we have 2 talks and 2 panel sessions. After the keynote, my co-chair Fiona Brown will be running a panel on AI ethics. Then we have a talk by my colleague Tom Swan, who will be talking about AI productionization, an area very close to my heart. And then I'll be back myself to host the second panel session, focusing on AI explainability, which I'm hoping will have some very interesting discussion, debates, and most likely arguments based on the constituents of the panel. But before we kick off, I want to give us or introduce our keynote. And I'm very happy to introduce Manoj Saxena. Manoj is a leading practitioner and investor at the forefront of AI and cognitive computing. He's the executive chairman of Cognitive Scale and a founding managing director of the Entrepreneurs Fund 4, a seed fund focused on business-to-business AI market with 9 active investments. Previously, he served as the first general manager of IBM Watson, where his team built the first cognitive systems. Prior to IBM, he successfully founded and sold 2 venture-backed software companies within a 5-year span. He currently serves on the board of AI Global, a non-profit dedicated to promoting practical and reasonable applications of AI, and on the Saxena Family Foundation. Recently, Manoj retired after serving 6 years as the chairman of the US Federal Bank of Dallas in San Antonio. Manoj is also an avid racing enthusiast. He has completed track, endurance, and auto rally races around the world, including a 24-hour Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Burma race, a 19-day Trans-America race, a 10-day Madrid to Marrakesh race, and most recently, in October 2017, the 28-day Safari Classic in the 1934 Alvis Speed 20 through South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. Honestly, I'm exhausted just reading that list, never mind having to actually do that. Manoj additionally also has a postgrad degree in business administration from Michigan State, a graduate degree in management sciences in the Birla Institute of Technology and Science in Pune, India, and he is the holder of 9 software patents. This guy has quite an impressive CV and makes me feel very inconsequential. The title of Manoj's talk is perfect for our theme. The title is AI Ethics, Explainability and Application, the very core of what we're talking about today. And in this, he will address the question, what will an era of trusted AI implementation look like? So now, I would welcome, by video conference, our speaker, Manoj, who's going to give us our keynote for the day. After that, I'll be back to introduce the next session, which will be hosted by Fiona. We will then have a talk by Tom, and then I'll be back for the final panel of the day. Thank you very much, and I really hope you enjoy.